Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wantrepreneur Wednesday. We had a little bit of, again, technical difficulties. I think it's just me, you guys. Anyhow, I wanted to bring to you today my guest by the name of Karen Woolley Hood. Karen is a local photographer here where we live in the suburbs of Chicago. And she's the person that just recently did my most recent photo shoot for my new website. So,
Very fun.
um, welcome, Karen, to Wantrepreneur Wednesday.
Thank you, Patty. I appreciate it.
I just want you to introduce yourself to the audience and just tell them, what it is you do, because there's so many different types of photographers, right?
There are. There are there photographers like anything that we specialize. And my specialty has always been portraiture. It has to have eyeballs. Pets included, which is fun. But not landscape, not architecture, not flowers. I am only about people, it has been
Okay.
terrific in 18 years. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so tell us how you got started. I mean, were you schooled in photography or are you self-taught? Like, tell
Right?
us your journey, how you started,
Sure.
and I mean, to be in a creative field like photography and to sustain a business for this many years, you've got to be doing something right. So I want you to share your journey as far as like how you got into it, why you got into it, and how it's brought you to today.
Sounds great, Patty. Thank you for asking. I was very lucky to meet a wonderful group of women in Del Mar, California in 1999 when I was pregnant with my first son, Ryan. And I just fell in love with their type of photography. They had this cute little cottage in Del Mar. And I just decided this is what I wanted to do. I was selling radio in California at the time, I was living in San Diego. I had previously sold radio at WXRT in Chicago and another radio station, an oldie station in San Diego where I met a ton of friends and was able to build a clientele. But that's where I took the classes for about 6 months in a super specialized program just for portraiture through a Navy SEAL, a gentleman who was very technical, or he's very technically oriented, and really gave me the basics that I needed to know. But I hired him for 6 months and learned everything I could and started shooting.
Wow, wow. And that was 18 years ago. So I
Yes.
know you've got a couple boys.
Yep.
And so were you doing photography? Did you have your business during the time when you were raising your kids, or
Oh
did
yeah.
you
Yes.
on
Yes.
hold for a
I
while?
did it in California in La Jolla, and then brought it here in 2003. I started. I moved to Hinsdale and loved the city, but really enjoyed building my clientele in the western suburbs, and then it spread to the city and the north suburbs and pretty much everywhere. But I travel for photography. I just photographed a wedding in Atlanta. I'm headed to San Diego in June for several shoots. So I'm pretty lucky. I get to travel a little bit with it.
Yeah, so it's been a long, I mean, it's sustained you. I mean, you've sustained a really thriving and sound like you created a very thriving business.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
love it. Thank you.
what is, if you had to say, there's a reason why, like a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a reason why. What would your reason why be for starting this business and not going and sitting in a cubicle in a corporate office somewhere?
Exactly. That's why I didn't want to be in a cubicle anymore selling radio. I just fell in love with meeting people, yeah, of course, and just bringing joy and capturing memories for people over the years, from newborns to birth announcements, and then to Christmas photos. And in California, every evening at 5 o'clock at sunset in November and December, I was on the ocean photographing families and having just a great time. And that inspired me, and it was my passion. It was not my hobby, and I knew I wanted to just make money with it. I didn't want to just play around with it. So it's always been money driven and a true job, not just a hobby. So
Okay, so you just said something very key, and that is it is a business and not a hobby.
yes.
And that is a big thing because a lot of people want to do something entrepreneurial, but then when they feel that they have to charge for it, they get all nervous that, to a- to to ask for the sale, right? And
Exactly.
who
Now,
he is,
that's
just
big.
a hobby. That would make the difference between a hobby and a business.
Exactly. And that is the lucky part for me, is that I had the technical later, starting with film back in the black and white film days is how I started, developing in my bathroom, processing in a dark room, which was my bathroom, which was funny. But really, I had the sales background, and that's what I think really helped me move along. And then the beauty of Facebook has helped everything, because it's all word of mouth, and of course, showing pictures on Facebook has been wonderful.
Yes.
But the sales part was very integral. Hmm.
Yes, yes. Which a lot of creatives don't like to do,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell
I,
me,
sales and
what has been your biggest challenge building this business?
ooh, challenge. The change of technology over the years. Of course, as I just mentioned, I started with film photography, and then had to, in about 2004, 2005, I transitioned into digital photography, which saved me a ton of money. Equipment you still spend a ton of money on, and lenses and cameras, but processing has been just a dream, of course, and editing with Photoshop and Lightroom and everything. So that's been great, and I have a wonderful professional lab out of Minnesota that I use for clients who want to order big products and show off their families and whatnot. So it's been good.
Yeah, yeah. So when you have like, okay, so your challenge was a learning curve to learn how to shift over to digital.
Yes, that was my challenge. Hmm.
Yeah. So what was your mindset like when this new wave of technology came into this, your world, kind of rocked your world? How did you, what were you thinking and believing about how to overcome it? And, I mean, what were you thinking?
Well, that's a great question. I was excited about it, of course. It was, definitely the route I needed to take, but there was still a lot of boring uh, processing type of learning curve that I needed to jump in or fail. So that was scary, and that was probably. I know you asked me what my biggest mistake that turned out well. I guess
Your best mistake.
best mistake. The best mistake I made kind of ties into that question, Patty. That um, I in 2009 I decided to purchase a sports photography franchise with
Oh,
TSS Photography out of Atlanta, and they gave me weeks of training in Atlanta where I did everything from lighting to processing to accounting, and really dug in. And I hated it, but I did learn a lot from it.
wow. What would make you want to do that? Do the franchise?
Oh, I didn't. I just wanted to make money. So I just thought that that would be a good way to go about things. My boys were in sports, and I was at every, soccer photo day and little league baseball day and basketball. So I thought, oh, well, I'm here anyway. I might as well photograph it. And so I did local Jody Harrison basketball and Hinsdale Little League and some things in the city, and was hired for a bunch of action photos, which I don't prefer. I'd rather do families and whatnot. But it was a good way to learn with having the business, the franchise, but it just kind of burnt out. It was pretty exhausting. Taking
Yeah.
one day I took over 1,200 photos of 1,200 children. So, and that's about 3 photos a child, and team photos and everything. It was just physically exhausting.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, because you mentioned your kids, tell me,
Mhm.
how do you do this work-life balance with running a business and having
Thanks. Well,
kids?
that's the beauty of it, is that I can make my own hours. I do tend to work a lot on the weekends, unfortunately, but fortunately, I'm recently divorced within weeks, so it's a new transition of balance of being a single mom and trying to make money and taking care of my teenage boys. That although they're independent and busy, they're still needy, and it's important to spend a lot of time with them, just out of out of desire, and just to enjoy them while they're home, but and attend their sports activities and school activities and whatnot. And we get some vacations in as well, but it's a definite transition for me right now with my new single life and need of finance, trying to kind of reevaluate everything.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you, what would be your best piece of advice you could give to a woman who is thinking, I want to leave this cubicle, or, I've been home all these years raising my kids. My kids are getting older now. What, maybe opening a business would be something for me. What would you tell her?
Oh, if they were considering actual photography or anything.
Anything.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, follow your passion, of course. I have friends that make jewelry and sell it and do very well, or open a retail store or a catering business or a juicing business or what have you. I've had a lot of friends that have really taken off with that type of service in the community. But really, just networking and finding out absolutely everything they can find out about what other companies are doing, because that's really what I did starting out, was focusing on this wonderful group of women that had this ideal photography studio, and I literally told them, look, I've hired you to do work for my family, but I also want to learn from you. And do you mind? And they were very helpful. So asking just a lot of questions to people who have done this type of work, and I kind of took their business model and formed it and worked with around my needs, and then brought it to Chicago. So it worked out.
And how do you currently market yourself? Like, I found you through Facebook, but actually I found you through a friend, a
Oh,
referral.
good,
I
good,
found
good.
you through a referral. But how do you market yourself right now?
Well, luckily, Facebook is about 90% of of the way I get business.
Wow, that's huge.
Years. It's just huge. I've been very lucky, but it's photos and it's talking to people and networking and word of mouth. So and it's free, so the price is right. I've
Yeah.
advertised in magazines. I've advertised on radio. I've advertised in different sections of, and it the value was just not there. I worked for several magazines. I've photographed covers for magazines. I've been paid for that, and then also traded out advertising. And it's very, very, very rare when I get a call from a client that sees a print ad or what have you. Although I very much believe in advertising, it just doesn't for me. Really, it's Facebook, Instagram, all sorts of things. I'm also starting a blog, so
Oh,
be rolling out in the next few weeks, and that's going to be about restaurants and ambiance and atmosphere and a little bit of food and drink as well, but really opening up my world to new categories, also manufacturers, products, and that type of thing. So I'm excited. I'm working on that right now.
that's very cool. Very cool. I like the diversification.
It's
So,
uh, it's definitely a change, but and change, is tough, but it's fun too. So I can't complain.
yeah. So where can my audience find you? Like, where are you located on the web? Where are you located on Facebook, on Instagram?
Yes, Facebook is definitely the best way. Of course, I have a personal page, but also if you could like my Karen Woolley Hood Photography in Chicago page, I would love that, and maybe you can put that out in
Yeah,
print.
we'll put in the notes down
Yeah,
below. Right.
wonderful. In the notes, great idea. And that's a great place to contact me, message me if you have a family reunion coming up, um,
Graduation.
seniors graduations. I've done a couple of proms type of groups, but really I love the family reunions, Christmas cards, weddings, preferably second weddings, which is funny because first weddings are a whole different deal. But that's the best way to contact me. Thank
And
you.
then what about your website? What is it located?
Website, you can go through the Facebook and just click on the link, because the website's very, very
Is it your
basic.
name?
Yeah,
Is it your
yeah,
name?
but really got to communicate through Facebook. And if not Facebook, my email address is definitely the best way to get in touch, and that is Karen Hood Photography at hotmail.com.
And then we're on Instagram. What are you listed as?
Karen Hood, actually, because I haven't changed my name as I mentioned. I'm in the process of change.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being my guest here today. That's a wrap for today's Wednesday Entrepreneur Wednesday.
You, Patty.
Um, as I mentioned, I've been doing these every week. It's just been kind of an inspiring thing that I put together after the last couple of years that a lot of the women I've been coaching who've wanted to discover the next chapter of themselves, have wanted to go into doing something entrepreneurial. So I this series of bringing on different women who have existing businesses has been really inspiring to those people. I've been hearing back from a lot of people. They've been loving these interviews. So I hope you love this one too. And we will see you back here next week. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Have a
Thanks,
great day, everyone.
Karen.